they gave themselves. I think that the standing orders are in need of revision so that when sittings are more frequently held, that 21-day gap or period within which if you miss sittings, you could perhaps find yourself out of our good house. Because I think we have to be treating the business of the country with the seriousness that it deserves. Can you imagine a joint select committee now being established some 3 years and we don't even know what the recommendations are of that act, and closely tied to it is the whistleblower law that will give the public some assurance that when I make a complaint, when I whistleblow, I will be afforded the protection necessary so that I feel safe to do so. When you look, for example, at some of the allegations involving the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, where you have civil servants allegedly and reportedly acting in concert with gang members, it's alarming.
Yes, and when you consider that the protections that are currently in law don't contemplate those things. They don't necessarily contemplate a criminal threat. It contemplates mostly a threat to your employment.
Eh? So when I report on these kind of nonsense and illegal activities that I'm witnessing, you're going to be telling me that the only protection I'm going to be getting is against occupational detriment?
Yes.
When the likelihood that one of your gangsters that you're in bed with can come and attack me and my family member. We need to fix the law with alacrity. And yet we had 37 sittings. Unimpressive. And I hope that our listeners will join us in this call that our parliamentarians must meet more frequently to get on with the business of the House. The Domestic Violence Act.
Yes.
The feel-good amendments that were made in November or December of 2023. To date, we have not had any sitting of the Joint Select Committee that has done substantial review of the Domestic Violence Act. And I call on the Prime Minister, because I've heard you making the promises to the citizens as recently as when one of the houses under the National Housing Program was being delivered. So I think we have to do a little bit better. Jade, I'm not sure if you heard the comments from the Commissioner of Police, Dr. Kevin Blake, that was reported with the RGR Gleaner, to say, and I agree in part, that we have to look at the number of police or police-involved fatal shootings, and I move beyond the police to include the members of the security forces. We have to move beyond just the numbers when we're analyzing. But I still say respectfully to the Police Commissioner, Dr. Blake, that the numbers are still important. And I just want to quickly reel out some figures to the listeners. 2013, 258 civilians killed by security forces. Between 2014 and 2016, we saw some significant reductions, with 2014 seeing 115 fatalities. In 2017, it increased to 168. 2018, 137. 2019, we had a low of 86 fatalities, the least in 2 decades. 2020, it increased to 115. 2021 rose to 127. 2022, 134. 2023, it jumped to 155, and 2024, it reached 189 fatalities, the highest since 2013. Respectfully to the Police Commissioner, I think this is the call now for the body-worn cameras to be deployed in greater numbers and to actually be activated by members of the security force. It cannot be that we have members of the security forces wearing the body-worn cameras and they decide not to turn it on. And the public is not aware of what the repercussions are if there's not a reasonable explanation. In fact, I've been privy to police departments in the United States wherein the footage is actually made public on their YouTube platforms, because you're talking about accountability. So while I think Dr. Kevin Blake is perhaps, and Assistant Commissioner Hamish Campbell said this, he's perhaps the police commissioner that we can recall who seems to be the most welcoming to the body-worn cameras. But I think we have to speak cautiously while you support the members of the force who's putting themselves out there at risk. But far too many of these planned operations do not have body-worn cameras. You have the element of surprise, and therefore it cannot be that you have that element of surprise and then there's no body-worn camera footage to say why you have some, I believe, 40% of the planned operations resulting in fatalities. I think we have to do a little bit better. And when we did our monthly e-brief, which is a policy paper of the organization, we made it very clear that it is of our belief that some aspect of the protocol for the body-worn camera should be made or legislated perhaps into the Jamaica Constabulary Force Act, where there is no difference of opinion that the use of the body-worn cameras are mandatory once you're wearing it. And if you don't wear it with reasonable explanation, you face these particular consequences. We know that the force orders are there, but I think we have to move with some legislative changes going forward. Yeah,
I think for the listeners as well, it's good to note, even as we looked at Dr. Blake's comments, what would help to support his comments is a look at what each incident was. And it is harder to do that when it is that we don't have the body-worn cameras providing the information, the objective view of the operations.
There was even a case, Jade, that, I was told that reportedly the police entered the house. Then reportedly, the police said to the girlfriend or the spouse of the gentleman was reportedly holding the baby. And the police reportedly said, go in the other room and take the baby with you. And by the end of that, in a few minutes' time, you heard gunshots. The man was dead.
Yes.
And we are making some moves from our end. The family involving the 17-year-old child has reached out to us, and we are seeing how best we can support. And in that situation, we need to double check. I don't believe any cameras were being worn.
No, not that I'm aware of.
And that involved a JDF soldier.
Yes.
Which we were told that all JDF soldiers are wearing body-worn cameras.
Yes.
So that's something we need to look into, whether or not there was any wearing of the body-worn cameras by the JDF soldier. But, a lot of things that I think we need to look into a little bit more. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for that, Mikkel. So we're basically at the end of the show. We do have a response to our trivia question. Our trivia question for today was who is the chairman of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee? The answer is Honorable Edmund Bartlett, and the winner of the trivia was G. Paul Mack on YouTube. So we're asking you, if you're listening still, to send a message to 2397583 so that you can receive your prize, having won the trivia. So that's G. Paul Mack on YouTube. Please send us a message on 2397583.
Yeah. And, I encourage our listeners to WhatsApp the number, because I think we need to be more of a guardian to our fellow Jamaicans. So whenever you see any instances of human rights violation by any state body, you can WhatsApp us on that number. We will ensure that our legal department gets it. That's 239-7583. And we will see how best we can lend some support. But I tell you, as long as it is safe for you to do so, we also encourage you not only to make reports to JFJ of human rights violation, but we have a high levels of crime rate. And whenever it is safe for you to do so, I really do encourage you to tell the police what you see, so that we can arrest these criminals and bring them before the court system, so that justice could be served for the victims of crimes. So that is it for today?
Yes, it is.
All right. My name is Mikkel Jackson, ED of JFJ.
And I'm Jade Williams. We'll see you next week.
Jamaicans. justice, the people's champion, champion, champion. Justice, justice for all. Justice under the law. Justice, Jamaica demand. Right to life, right to liberty. Out of many we are one in a Jamaica. Make it a better place for the boys and girls. Created equal by the creator. For equal rights and opportunities. No to unlawful detention and police brutalization. Class, gender, race or religion. We not tolerate discrimination.
To join the fight against injustice, contact us at 755-4524 or JamaicансForJustice.org.
The people's champion.
Woman's intuition, sixth sense of a man, insecurity, paranoia, jealousy, proof, hard evidence, or evidence that is hard. What comes first?